Welcome, everybody, to the Conscious Agent Show, where law of attraction meets your real estate business to create the abundance that you know you're meant for. We believe that anything that happens inside your awareness is your choice, and anything that happens outside of your awareness is not your choice. So if you want more choices on how you experience your life and your business, you must grow your awareness. So welcome to the show. My name is Dean DeVries, and I am with my amazing co-host Alex Haig. What's up, brother?
Good morning, bro.
So what are we talking about today?
Talking about being cold inside.
It's a little chilly, and if you're watching this, we're hoodied up. It's 5:30 in the morning, almost 5:30 in the morning. We've been going since 4:45. It's great to be here.
It is. So our subject today is real estate, and it's a game of opposites.
And there's so many lessons even outside that could be applied outside of real estate, because there's life is a game of opposites, and I feel like our real estate business is a microcosm of so much more to, the human experience. So yeah, let's, I know we've got a short episode today.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and dive in, man. So
Cool.
What does that mean, a game of opposites?
I think that, at its core, I think if you'd asked probably 9 out of 10 real estate agents why they got into real estate, that they would say, because I wanted more freedom.
Mm.
And if you've been in real estate for more than a year and you've had some success with it, especially if you've had some success with it, and you'd ask those agents, and we could take a poll about this, but I know I've talked to a lot, and the agents that are successful and that are doing a lot of business don't have the kind of freedom that they thought before they got into it what they would have. Like you can decide not to do things, period. And so that is freedom because you don't have a boss. However, if you want to be successful, which is the next thing people would say, like, oh, I have a glass ceiling for earning and I can make, so much more money than I would in a 9-to-5 job. Yes. And you're not going to have the freedom that you thought you were going to have. So I think that's kind of the, what we're talking about here with the real estate is a game of opposites. You don't really get all that freedom that you thought you would. However, do you want to go into that at all from there, or just this big aha that I had yesterday with this?
Yeah, we could definitely invite that. One thing I just want to share, we were talking about this actually earlier, kind of unrelated, but I think what you just said is so powerful. You have to be more structured and you have to be more intentional with your time if you want freedom. So if you want freedom, you have to intend on having freedom. And the only way to intend on having freedom is to schedule your freedom, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't schedule your freedom, then you don't schedule anything, which now, there's the freedom of like, oh, well, I don't have to do anything. That's actually, you actually are a slave. You're a slave to the ego. You're a slave to the mind because it's keeping you in this comfort zone and it's not allowing you to be useful and for you to build what you really want to build, which is a vehicle to have freedom. And the way to build it, to your point earlier, you've got to be intentional about that. This is how I'm going to work. Hey, we're in a business where if you want to go to your kids, soccer games, or you want to, go to, martial arts practice 5 times a week in the middle of the day, you have that freedom to do that. You just have to build everything around that so that you can schedule your freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. That is ultimately it, man. And, boiling all that down, what is the opposite of, I guess, freedom? Okay, so here's the concept. The real concept is if you want more freedom, you have to create more structure.
Mm.
So let's keep it simple, right? Like if you want, and I found this, and it's taken me a long, and I've done of having a schedule and not adhering to the schedule. Like, oh, I got to put it in my, phone, and if I put it in my book, okay, if you put it, do you really adhere to your phone? Like now, I look at my phone, in every day, and it's not, you don't want to get into like, hey, what that whole thing is about looking at your phone more. But like, I don't care if it's, I used to go by a day planner, and I had that little day planner, and that like kept me going pretty good. Before I had a phone, 17 years of gray hair, I didn't have reminders or whatever. So I had to really schedule things out. I didn't schedule out prospecting time, and that's a whole nother, thing. I just was like, I knew I needed to prospect. So, but I found the more structure, like we do our accountabilities every morning at 5 a.m. Like, hey, are we getting close to our goals? Like that's uncomfortable. However, if we don't have that structure, if we don't meet, if we don't hold each other accountable, then we're not going to have that ultimate freedom of like, hey, my retirement. I want to go on a vacation here or there, and I'm not going to be stressing about money, like, because if we don't do the structure now, there's another whole esoteric, metaphysical, like again, to your slave thing, you're going to be really super worried. You're going to be super concerned, and that's not freedom. That's being a slave to, worry and anxiety and like, where's my next check going to come from? So that really boils back down to that really got to structure so that I can have freedom of in my mind, in my heart, in my family and everything. Right.
And I think that's what people talk about when they want more freedom. They just want to be free of that fear. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's ultimately what we're all after. We want to be free of that, free of the, the binding force of fear. Like, oh, I just want to get, I don't want to worry anymore. Right. I think that's really what people are looking for. And as you and I know, and at least what we, our perspective of this is, and we talk about this in our immersion events, to get rid of that fear, you have to trust in yourself and trust in your journey. And the only way to trust in yourself is to get uncomfortable and watch what happens. Watch yourself get uncomfortable despite the ego. The ego wants to keep you comfortable. So when you take action and get uncomfortable and prove to yourself that you can do it, even though your ego says you can't or shouldn't, that's when you build that trust within yourself and start breaking the chains that you have and the attachments you have to that thing that you fear. I believe that is the freedom that we crave, even though we think that freedom is sipping mojitos on the beach. That's not freedom. Freedom is being all of who we are and not having any attachments that cause us fear. And if we're just being everything that we are, which is so much easier said than done. That's the journey though. We're just on this path of highest and best use and being in alignment with who we really are. That's the freedom that I seek, brother.
Yeah, I think there's all different types of freedom. I do think that's drinking the mojito on the beach is a type of freedom. And I think of what lending into that, while you're on the beach drinking that mojito, are you worried? Because that's not freedom, right? I mean, it is. So you're drinking the mojito. So hey, I'm not working. However, if you're worried and you're fearful of like things aren't going right, because guess what? Because you don't have any structure. Like I went to Europe for 2 weeks, and guess what, man? I wasn't worried about what was going on with my business because I had implemented structure and people taking care of things. And I didn't have to worry. That's a big piece of freedom. So if you're off somewhere and you're worrying and you're like always looking at your phone, am I missing something? Like, do you really have freedom? You're in Disney, but you can't, right? So I think back to this whole thing of that, back to our immersion and, being uncomfortable is setting a plan. So there's structure. Well, when I want structure, I want freedom. Guess what? You got to have structure to create a plan, and then you have to have a daily habit of the habits to realize the plan, to realize the goals. And that's discipline over yourself to do the daily things that need to be done to add up to achieve those goals. And that's a lot of what we keep talking about is being uncomfortable. Is like, a lot of people are like, well, I don't even want to look at my numbers. Like, I just want to kind of do it. Like, well, you're just going to kind of get results. You're not going to get predictable results if you don't have a predictable plan. And then you're not going to get predictable results if you don't do daily predictable activities to achieve those. And that is vigilance over oneself. Say, oh, well, I want the freedom to go to lunch to do this. A friend said, I want to go here. And you go, oh, I'm going to go do that. Because you don't have to. You don't have a boss. You don't have a boss saying you're going to get fired if you don't show up to work. That's, a lot of people want that freedom to be able to do what they want when they want. What happens is they just end up doing what they want when they want. And then they end up with no results, and they're like, real estate is tough, or I didn't have success with it. It's like, no, because you didn't have the vigilance and the diligence and the habits to get the things done need to get done. So you first got to have a plan, then you got to have influence over yourself, then you got to have influence over yourself to be able to influence others, not in a bad way. We got to have that, heart that we're come from service, and you influence others to list their homes, help them buy, and, always with that service mindset. So that's what we're saying. It's a game of opposites, and I find that the more that structured that I get, the more freedom that I get. And I find actually the more structure that I get, the more business that I get. And also like, hey, I was on the thing of like, well, I don't want to work on weekends. Like now it's like, I will work on weekends here or there, because I know ultimately my big goal is for an ultimate freedom where I have a business. And a business is you go somewhere and it's still running. That's a business. Most agents out there don't have a business, right? They're just hustling from deal to deal to deal to deal, which, hey, you got to do that. You got to be a knight. That's a whole nother conversation. You got to hustle in the beginning and figure, do all that. That's Six Sigma. I don't know if anybody knows that out there, but you got to know all the different jobs. You got to know how to be a transaction coordinator. You got to know how to be an agent. You got to know how to but you ultimately want to get to a business, and Dean and I can help you with that, because that's a real big pursuit of ours.
Thank you for that. That was a great piece that you just shared. Very unsexy, very uncomfortable. So thank you. It's perfect.
You're welcome.
Cool, man. Well, let's leave it at that. And yeah, the more we schedule, the more we can handle, the more freedom that we have, the more useful we are. And I just love this business, man. This is always a mirror of who we are on the inside. We can just see, like, if we want to see where we need work and where we're crushing it, let's just look at our business. It's always a reflection of us. So I love that, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for this great conversation. Thank you for tapping into your wisdom as well, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. And you guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.